Thank you very much. I am Kitashiro, and I was listening to the three presentations, and I found them very interesting. The most interesting point was that in the past, in Japanese universities, when we discuss these matters, saying University of Tokyo is good, or Kyoto University is good, or Tokyo Tech is good, all these universities were competing with each other, but it was just a competition inside Japan. And I'm wondering how the interpreter got my word here, but it was just like a national athletic meet in the past, but now we're trying to compete with MIT or UC Berkeley, meaning that we are now going out into the Olympic Games, meaning that we need to have more international players, international-minded students. But if we try to do that, we really find ourselves unable to go out into the Olympics. If we are to compete in the Olympics, we need to have some online courses or have something like the academic villages, having cafeterias or coffee shops or whatever where students can gather, have tables there so that students can gather and discuss matters. Or else, even if we do take part in the Olympic Games, we won't be able to really compete. And also, sending students abroad. Well, yes, studying English during the summer vacation, that much could be done. But if we really want to have exchange students, of course, we can send students out, but we have to admit students as well. Meaning, we need to have undergraduate courses that are offered in English, or we need to have dormitories where the international students coming to Japan can live. And that dormitory can't be Japanese-only kind of dormitories. It will have to be a dorm where international students can live with the Japanese students. And can we really set that environment up? It's very difficult. So as I was listening, one thing I understood is that, yes, we are now trying to compete in a university Olympics. It's not just about a university rankings. If we are to go out into the Olympics, we will be vying for the gold medal, silver medal, or bronze medal. Maybe even if it's not a medal, we will have to aim higher, meaning we'll have to change our mindset fundamentally. And in managing universities, I find that, well, President Mishima has a lot of ideas of how to do this, but usually in an ordinary university, you have to go about persuading presidents. Many people will say they want to think about the curriculum and then think about the contents to teach. But in some universities, they're just teaching what the professors can teach and make up the curriculum. I think we have to set up a good curriculum first and have the appropriate people to teach them. But if that is the kind of thinking we take, it means that we might have to replace some of the professors that are working in the universities. And right now, we are trying to go through this university governance in the National Council of Higher Education, and I do hope that Tokyo Tech will lead the way so that Japanese universities can compete in the Olympics of universities and really get a medal somehow. Even if it's a bronze medal, if it's not a gold. It's easier to speak in Japanese. I'm probably troubling the interpreters. Well, yes, for me it's easier to speak in Japanese too. Well, we are aiming toward 2030 for our education reform. Of course, the Tokyo Olympics will be here in 2020, meaning that if we are to go into the Olympics, we'll have to speed up our efforts. Now, Dr. Kilina Craig Anderson.
PowerPoint. Hello. I was asked to share some information about the National Science Foundation's approach and interest in global education, international research collaborations, and I'm going to do that very briefly. But in order to do that, I probably need to say a couple of words to you about what the National Science Foundation is, what it does, and what it looks like within the U.S. The National Science Foundation was established in 1950 by the United States Congress. I am actually representing one of the 3 regional offices we have around the world. It is based, the main headquarters are based in Washington, but we do have regional offices here in Tokyo, which covers the entire well, it's supposed to cover the entire Asia-Pacific region, but much of our focus has been in Japan. And there's also an office in France, which covers much of Europe, and then an office in Beijing as well. It's important to note that the Tokyo regional office has its roots in a historic meeting that took place between President John F. Kennedy and at the time Prime Minister Hayato Akira. And there were discussions about establishing some unit that would have focus on alliances in science and research and education. And that was the beginning of the office here in Tokyo. The National Science Foundation is the only U.S. federal agency that is mandated to support basic non-biomedical research. And so that's research that spans engineering, natural, physical, social sciences. We are quite distinct and separate from the National Institutes of Health, which do support research and education in the biomedical area. I've just given you a snapshot of our budget. The budget hovers around $7 billion US. With current economic constraints, it's been flat for the most part. We receive somewhere in the order of almost 50,000 proposals, which are competitively reviewed. The National Science Foundation is known for its gold standard and merit review, and from that, we have supported about 24% of those proposals. The National Science Foundation is uniquely staffed by scientists and engineers. Those are the people who are making the funding decisions. These are people who have the expertise and training. They're usually faculty members or researchers on loan from their institutions who come for a short period of time to manage a research portfolio, and they make the funding decisions. We have no intramural research, which is to say that we do not conduct research in-house at all. I just put this up here very quickly. I apologize. It's a very busy slide, but it does let you see how it's organized. It's very similar in organization to the structure of a university, where you have departments and colleges. We have directorates, and the directorates are focused on specific discipline areas. So we have an engineering directorate, a directorate for social sciences, a directorate for biology, and so on and so forth. And that's the structure up there. This is the heart of what I was asked to share with you, and it has to do with our focus on international engagement. Our prior or previous NSF director, Dr. Subra Suresh, had a very clear focus and interest in internationalizing all of the activities within NSF, which is not to say that that was not present before, but we did receive I think a well-needed boost in our attention to the importance of international engagement and collaboration. As a result of that, there were several new programs and funding mechanisms that were created for the explicit purpose of increasing and facilitating interest in partnerships across borders for research. We recognize the value of leveraging our complementary expertise and interest so that we can, in fact, expose young people to research around the world and develop a competent workforce. Much of our interest at NSF is in providing the tools for expansion of our STEM workforce, and we see the international engagement as a critical feature for being able to do that. And so there is a focus at NSF on facilitating global partnerships throughout most of the funding programs. My colleagues earlier spoke about the graduate research fellowship programs. That's just one kind of funding mechanism that NSF has that is highly competitive, but that has great payoffs for the future STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics workforce. I just will end here by showing you a few of the international programs that NSF has contributed support for that involve Japan in various ways. Some of these are programs that are specifically focused on large-scale equipment, like telescopes. Some of these programs are focused on funding ongoing faculty exchange programs. Some of the programs, and I'll draw your attention to the East Asia and Pacific Summer Institutes program, is a program that focuses on contributing to the exchange of graduate students. We have 65 graduate students who come to Japan from around the world each year. Actually, more than that, 65 come from the U.S., and then there are more from other countries, to work with host researchers. And I know that some have actually worked here. There have been some students who've come here, and they stay here for the summer. There's a cultural exchange that occurs in addition to the learning of the research experience and the sharing of knowledge. And so there are quite a few programs. Last slide here are additional programs that we have involving researchers and universities and students in Japan. And I thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Henderson. Thank you very much to introduce us about the funding collaboration between Japan and the United States. それでは、塩山さんの方から。
Well, thank you. Then, Mr. Shoyama, please.